everybody, I'm Lisa from Distinctive Canine, and in this video we're going to talk about what an extinction burst is. So to understand what an extinction burst is, it's actually easier if you understand what one isn't. So if you're going to be teaching your dog something like obedience or agility, you're not going to see an extinction burst with that, because that is purely teaching the dog something new. But if you have a dog that has severe behavior issues, you might see an extinction burst of that, because essentially it's when a behavior gets worse before it gets better. Now I'm going to give you an example because this is a lot easier to understand with an example. So let's say you've got a dog and for the past year they've been barking constantly for attention. Now for some people, to get rid of that issue, they do need to implement lifestyle changes, they need to implement training, but for some people it really can be as easy as ignore the barking and only give affection when the dog is polite and quiet. That does work for some people, not all. But for the sake of this example, let's say that's what we're going with. So for the first week, all right, the dog is trying to figure out what's going on. It's trying to figure out, because you're not giving affection when they bark anymore. And that's something that previously got them what they wanted. And that's what you have to understand, is that if your dog is barking for attention, they just say that is something that works, because in their mind they think, well, I bark, I get attention, and that's what I wanted, so I'll keep doing it, right? So in this instance, all right, if you're dealing with demand barking, and this is what we're doing in the example, ignoring the barking, only giving affection when they're quiet, the first week the dog's trying to figure this out. It doesn't understand the system that we're doing straight away. So let's say for the first week it's sorting things out, it's kind of finding its footing. Then let's say for the second week, the first half of that second week is going quite well. Dog's starting to understand. But then by the time you get to the end of that second week, this is actually when most people see their dogs going through an extinction burst, right? So it's where the dog was getting better and now suddenly it's got worse. Suddenly the barking is more constant, it's louder, it's more severe. And at that point, what a lot of people do is they go, oh, for God's sake, come here then, and they'll give the dog affection. Now, that was an extinction burst. Okay, the behavior got better gradually, and then it went through a stage where it was really bad. So essentially what is happening in this example, right, this extinction burst, it's because the dog has been figuring this out for the past couple of weeks, and now it's thinking, well, barking did previously get me affection, that's what I wanted, so I'm going to see if there's any chance that this could actually work again, all right? And so what they do is they get worse, they get more severe, because they're saying, right, okay, I'm just gonna go hell for leather, see if it works. And they'll get louder and it'll get more severe. Now what a lot of people do is they take the foot off the accelerator at this point and they give in, they say the training didn't work, it's not getting any better, the dog's getting worse. Actually what you're going through is an extinction burst. And if you just got over that hump, it would have been clean sailing. You know, and another thing as well is that an extinction burst isn't isolated to one case. You might have a dog that has multiple extinction bursts, but you have to keep going through the training, all right? An extinction burst, in a nutshell, is when a dog gets worse before it gets better, because it's trying to figure out if the behavior that they used to do could possibly still work. Now, when you give in at the extinction burst, what happens is it becomes a lot harder to train your dog out of that old reaction or out of that old behavior, because the dog thinks, well, actually it did work. I had to get really severe there, but it worked. And so it's harder to train that behavior out of them, because you've just taught them, yeah, you know what, if you get really severe, you get really loud, you're really constant, I'm going to give in eventually. So that's what an extinction burst is. I hope that was an easy example to understand, and hopefully I'll see you in some other videos that we have, because we like to educate people on things like this, because this is something that I don't see a lot of dog trainers explaining, and it's something that a lot of our clients have no idea exists. And so it's really important for me to educate people on this, because like I say, some people get to the extinction burst and they just give up because they think, well, it didn't work. Actually, you're so close to being able to get rid of that behavior that you've been trying so hard to get rid of. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.